Pro tip: save time when watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. Instead of watching season 1, just watch the live action remake. Alright boys, so today we are talking about the greatest animated cartoon TV show of all time.
Season 1. One of the best things about Avatar is how likeable its cast is, despite the fact that they're all children. It's like a lot of shows when you got like a children cast, like they're all just bloody annoying and you hate them all to bits, even when you yourself are a child. But Avatar, it's not like that. It's like a genuinely like a really likeable cast. Season 1, I did find myself just getting annoyed a lot by, I need to capture the Avatar for my honor.
Wait! What's that? I think it's your honor.
Where?
Iroh is an absolute god and makes all of the sequences with the bad guys just as compelling and interesting as any of the moments with the good guys. Season 1 does really good at setting up the universe, like really quickly. Like within the first few episodes, you essentially have a really good feel for the universe. Like there's these, like even just the intro, you know, there's these 4 nations, well 3, because 1 got wiped out.
How are they able to achieve such a big win on day 1 and then immediately arrive at a stalemate for like 99 years?
Another thing that Avatar does really well is having a series-wide plotline instead of having like individual season plotlines.
Talking about that, I have to bring up Legends of Korra. One of the issues is they just have a separate plot every season.
I don't really mind that. It would be a bit odd if it essentially just copied The Last Airbender. And also when they were making Korra, initially it was going to be a mini-series.
The problem is Korra has 4 different plots for each season, but every episode is just a continuous story. The Last Airbender has one big overarching story, but every episode stands alone. Jet sucks a lot, and I hate Jet so much.
Siege of the North. Sokka gets a girlfriend that turns into the moon.
That's rough, buddy.
There's that classic scene of Iroh being like, I think of you as my son. And he's all worried about him, like going on this mission to capture Aang. This leads into season 2 really well. Iroh and Zuko are banished, which then we get the introduction of Azula. Season 2. Azula, probably the greatest villain of the whole series.
Azula's a great villain.
I'm gonna say the best of the series.
Season 2, I gotta say, I think has a bit of a more rough start than others. We've got the Avatar State episode.
It leads into Bossing Say. It's the first time we realise that we can hate an earthbender, which is teasing that when we get to, Bossing Say, the Dai Li agents and Long Fang.
The second episode, Cave of Two Lovers, I mean, it's an absolute jamming song, which is pretty alright. But the whole love plotline between Aang and Katara is just the age difference.
I'm saying I would rather kiss you than die. That's a compliment.
The next couple of episodes are a bit the same. Return to Omashu. It reminds you that the Fire Nation is a thing. Poor Boomy. How does he pee? I don't think there's an episode past episode 6 that is bad. They're all amazing.
Zuko Alone.
Zuko Alone is an amazing episode.
That was the start of Zuko's transformation.
He's been like full on made outlaw by the Fire Nation. But like this was really the point where you started seeing him develop more. I gotta say the Tales of Ba Sing Se is pretty filler. It is a masterclass on how to do a filler episode. It puts a halt on the plot, but it doesn't put a halt on characters. It's a really good episode for characters.
Leave from the Vine, it's just...
That's where men cry. Oh, Toph. We haven't talked about Toph at all. Season 2 does really good at expanding the cast to Season 1. Like, Season 1 does a good job at keeping it to, like, the main sort of trio, and then Zuko and Iroh. But then Season 2, like, as we said, it adds Azula, it adds Toph.
Crossroads of Destiny.
God, that hurt me the first time watching it when Zuko turned around and was like, yeah, screw you. I'm like, no, don't. Zuko, my boy.
In Appa's Lost Days, we get the speech from Iroh.
Who are you? And what do you want?
He gets rid of the mask. And then we see him going through that, I think it's a metamorphosis or something.
The metamorphosis.
Or whatever Iroh calls it. And then he becomes a good person. And we see how happy he is. Just, serving tea. And we think, he's gone good, but then he turns on Iroh. Because right now, he's gone good, but if he gets his honour served up on a silver platter, he's going to take it. And then we go into, I reckon we can do a nice transition into Season 3. This is where he gets to the point where he doesn't want this, even if it's given to him.
It's mainly like explored in the beach, where we see him realize that like he's angry at himself. The headband.
I didn't like the dancing, but I did enjoy seeing Fire Nation School.
As you just said, like I didn't like the dancing. That really bugged me. It's just kind of out of nowhere. It's like, oh god, okay, that's a bit odd. But getting to see the Fire Nation, that's something that the first half of season 1, despite the fact that there's a lot of filler episodes in it, does well at just exploring the Fire Nation and really humanizing the Fire Nation.
The painted lady, oh, I hated that so much. But then we go to Soccer's Master, which I really liked.
I did really like Soccer's Master.
And then the beach, which I also really like. I see why some people think this is the best season.
At first, going into it, I thought this was going to be my favourite season, but then I thought about it. Season 2, after episode 5, it's just constant amazing. But season 3, all throughout, there's the occasional episode that I just don't like. Episode 6 is a really good backstory episode, going into how the all really started. Combustion Man. I didn't like Combustion Man. He just sort of felt like a filler villain. Like, he was just there to keep the tension up for the first half of the season. He felt very inconsequential, and obviously he has, like, not even a single line of spoken dialogue. Maybe one, like when Zuko hires him.
Guess Combustion Man sort of supports Zuko joining. Zuko's like, his name is, and then Katara's like, oh, so you're best friends with him now, and then sends him off.
Why didn't I just say Azula did that? They would have believed that.
Doesn't even have a name.
Yeah, just Combustion Man.
Or Sparky Boom Man.
I personally prefer Sparky Boom Man.
So I think the first half of season 3, like, it gets good when Zuko joins the group.
Hello, Zuko here.
He joins the group so late, though. Day of the Black Sun, I think, is a really good two-parter.
I felt there was some tension in the fact that we knew something had to happen. We didn't know, like, I was assuming they're going to fail. The whole time watching it, you're just waiting for something to go wrong because we're only halfway through the season. Creates that new low for the Team Avatar to build to get to the end.
It does, like, set up the rest of the season pretty well.
That was good when Zuko stood up against Ozai.
Yeah, that was a really well done bit.
We didn't get to see Iroh's breakout.
We didn't, no. I mean, I don't think it needs to be seen. I think it's better left to the imagination to just imagine
Iroh Swallow.
Iroh Swallow just breaking out and just absolutely wrecking everyone.
Oh, and when he pulled the don't come to school tomorrow. The Ember Island players.
I don't like this episode that much.
Oh!
I recognise it's an objectively great episode, and I really like that it's a good recap. It's a good recap episode, but I just don't enjoy it for some reason.
Do you at least see that it's the greatest recap episode of all time?
Yes, it is an amazing... I will concede it is a really well done recap episode.
Part of that would be because it's not just a recap thrown in because they're behind on production. They animated everything. They didn't just bring back old episode.
It sort of brings back like what I was saying about like Tales of Ba Sing Se. Like, it's a filler episode, but it's a good filler episode because it puts a pause on the plot, but it doesn't put a pause on the characters.
What sort of makes this not a filler episode is they're watching a Fire Nation propaganda play. Why does Ember Island Ozai look more evil than normal Ozai?
Something I find funny about this episode is like the whole comment at the end, like, oh, that was pretty terrible, but the effects were pretty decent. Like, that just sort of sums up the Avatar movie.
I mean, if they ever do a live action movie, they should definitely get the M. Night Shyamalan actors to do the Ember Island bit. Also, the good thing about Ember Island is it's put right between the Southern Raiders and Sozin's comment.
Zula's whole like absolute mental breakdown.
Right at the end where she gets defeated by Katara. That was painful to watch.
Yeah.
Really painful to watch.
A well supported like thing too, like after May and Ty Lee's like ditched her and whatnot, like it's a logical progression as to how she got to this point. Did she see her mother in the mirror, was it?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I hate you. And she's like, ah, and shit. And
No, I love you, Azula.
the only
And
thing
then
is,
there's the final scene. The last scene.
Where is my mother?
that does seem to tease like, oh, we're going to do something else. There's going to be something more. But then there wasn't for 5 years. It took them 5 years to cover that. I love in Legend of Korra, the first episode, where it's like, whatever happened with Zuko's mother? Well, that's a funny story, and then it's just cut off.